first like to clear the basic thought of history. History, as you can see, there is no general accepted view of history. It depends on what is being researched, how it's being researched, and what are the circumstances that the history is being researched. Because the topic given to us is very much related to history, so we have to keep aside the prejudiced and biased opinions and look from it from a neutral point of view. The topic that we are going to discuss today is Dark Age. The term dark itself refers to collapse of order. So collapse of order means order of chaos. It means that the world is in a very deep dark age, as it refers to its very superficial. So age, we all know, refers to certain period or certain era. Dark age actually is the Islamic golden age, and our topic that today is about Islamic golden age. It is because that the dark ages are called by European historians as the dark age. It is actually the Islamic golden age, and what we need to know is the Islamic golden era. That is very important for all of us, at least people living in the subcontinent. Actually, transference of power occurred from west to east, and that has always happened in many years. As the history repeats itself, west had the power earlier, and then it transferred to east. Now when it transferred to east, first we would like to discuss the major eras of dark ages. You see, dark age itself is not a single particular age. It actually may refer to many period of ages. So superficially there are many dark ages, but the three major eras that historian refers to are three types of them, and they are the Victorian age, King Arthur's reign, and then finally the fall of Roman Empire. Victorian age. Now I would like you to observe this picture closely. You can observe that this society is very civilized, and it looks like a recent 20th century, which it is, and we all know that Victorian age was a recent age. So why is it called the Dark Age? The question arises, and there is a very proper answer for that, and this is that reason is that history and events were not recorded in that age. It means they were overlooked, and they were not important. They were given to the history, and it's recorded. So that was the reason that it was still called the Dark Age, despite the fact that it has just passed recently in the 20th century. Next we come to King Arthur's period. King Arthur period is the early 4th century. That is even before the actual Dark Ages, and it was called Dark Age due to a reason. And that reason was that not much was known about this era, and they were barbarians. This is the only clue that we have about this era. So in that context, it was known as Dark Age. Next, we come to fall of the Roman Empire, which was from 5th century to 13th century, and that is the era that most historians refer to as general Dark Ages. It means that they have accepted it as a general point of view. In this, why was this called as Dark Age? Now there is a different perspective here. This was called as Dark Age because Romulus Augustulus, the king of Rome at that time, was deposed by Odysseus, a barbarian, and then all of the literature, the science and technology that had occurred in Rome before was flung into deep dark ages, and then the west flung itself into dark times. Next, we observe this picture closely. It is Romulus Augustulus surrendering to Odysseus. He is a barbarian, and if you observe around him, you can see many barbarians, and in the background, if it is not seen closely, there is bloodshed as well. And so this was an order of chaos, of all disputes between each other, and so he is surrendering to him. So Romulus Augustulus was the last Roman, and then the decline of the West started. Then we come to rise of Islam. Why are we talking about rise of Islam? This is because these two events took place simultaneously, and we should keep this in mind. And then we should talk about Dark Ages. The Dark Ages, keeping in mind, always apply to the western part of the world, never to the east, and never to the part where the Muslims were on rise. Effects of this Muslim rule over 800 years can still be seen in Chinese civilization, Japanese civilization, which were the eastern part of the world. And the Muslims dominated that part. And the Dark Ages, that was transference of power from east to west. That is the Dark. Muslim society in that era was at peak, whether it be in literature, sciences, technology, arts, anything, environmental studies, economically, Muslims were advanced at that time. So Islamic Golden Age was actually known as the Dark Age. As you can see, that the reason for it is that it was the opinions of some prejudiced European historians, and nowadays historians no more use this word Dark Age because of its negative connotation, as they themselves accept that yes, it was a golden era, and only if seen in context of Western part, it was a Dark Age. Next, a Russian historian, a famous historian, he was Frolova, he said that the results of Arab scholars' literary activities are still reflected in enormous manuscripts, which is not less than 5 million. 5 million, my friends, is a great figure, and that cannot be neglected at any point. Now, as we have got the actual concept of Dark Ages, and we learned that it is actually a prejudiced way of historians to refer to it as a Dark Age. Now let us take a journey through that particular Dark Age, which is actually the Islamic Golden Era, and let us talk how did this rise of Islam and rise of Muslims occur, and what was taking place in the East at that time. I would like to invite my friend Ammar to come on stage and tell us something about the inventions of that era.
Many significant inventions, as Mr. Umair has just said, have taken place in this era, which are still ruling and overtaking the world just by the names of Europeans on them. They actually started from here. We started them. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, medical science, these are just some of them. There was astronomy and many others. And this is Ibn al-Haytham. He was a Muslim mathematician, astronomer and physicist. His work is of utmost importance. As you can see, the pinhole camera, this was the work he invented at that time in 10th century. And then this was actually called camera afterwards. First it came from the Arabic word kamara, which means a dark room, because this pinhole camera was a dark box and the light reflected inside it. And then we have come to the digital cameras, and we have developed to movie theaters and camcorders and various other things. This is Mr. Al-Qasim Al-Zahrawi. He's a Muslim surgeon, and around 200 surgical instruments that we still use, most of them were invented by him, like scalpels, bone saws, forceps, fine scissors for eye surgery. These are just some of them. There are 200 and we are still using them. And the catgut used for internal stitches, that's still being used, was discovered by him, and he discovered it that it could be used for internal stitches because it gets dissolved in human blood. And then comes Al-Khwarizmi, the Muslim mathematician. He is the one because of whom we are studying computer science over here, using algorithms and algebra, which came from his book Al-Jabr wal Muqabila.